Thank you for joining today's webinar. I'm very excited to be here, and I hope you're having a great day or a great week as we are. Before I start, of course, if you would like to learn more about Alteryx or anything at all related to data analytics, please follow Data Meaning on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So we have many videos there. We are posting on a weekly basis, videos related to Alteryx, videos related to Tableau, or any other platform, once again, related to data. So if you want to learn more about data, please follow us on social media. And as a reminder, we'll be sharing this webinar recording via email with everyone who registered for today's session and any other session, right? So we are right in the middle of our server webinar series. If I'm not mistaken, this is our 6th session, right? And today we're going to be talking about, do you need to call IT, right? So the whole idea for this session is for you to figure out if you can solve a problem by yourselves or asking your gallery admin, or of course, if you need to call someone from IT to solve this issue. So this could be an access issue. This could be related to your email or anything at all, or related to your access to the Alteryx server. So the idea for the session today is for you to check a few of the most current problems, the most current issues that you may encounter when using your Alteryx server. All right, moving forward to the next slide. Okay, so you already know me. I'm Fernando Vizcaíno. I'm part of the data meaning enablement team, as Cesar also is. I'm an Alteryx sales. I've been working with Alteryx for the past 8 years already, and I've been working in the community for a long time now. From past week, actually, I became the top 1 contributor in the Alteryx server board. So maybe you saw me there. If not, feel free to ask any questions, and I'm always there to help you out, right? And alongside me, I have Cesar. I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cesar. I work in the enablement team also with Fernando, and I'm also very experienced with Alteryx, and I have experience also with some projects in BI, in IT data solutions, and other business analytics projects, working with both Alteryx and also with Click and other BI tools. And I'm here today to help Fernando with this webinar. So thank you all for being here.
All right. So moving forward here, let's talk a bit about data meaning. So we are always presenting our company for you. And the whole idea for data meaning is that we can support you during the whole journey related to data, right? So we have multiple different platforms. Of course, the one that you are seeing here today is the Alteryx. We are 2 years in a row the partner of the year in 2020 global. And when they removed this badge, then we became the 2021 America's Partner of the Year. And once again, we can support you during the whole process. From before, even if you don't know your problems, we are able here to show many use cases, many projects that we already did. And from there on, we are able to support you if you want something related, a project related to business intelligence, data management, change management. So we are able to talk about data governance in general, and we are able to support if you need licensing, if you need projects, or if you basically need consulting related to any of the tools that I'm showing here. Of course, this is a summary of our softwares, but we have many more that we have partnership with. All right then. And as I mentioned, we are right now right in the middle of our sessions, but we have many more, right? So today, do I need to call IT? But then you learn how to install your server, if you need to scale up your server, as well as some more advanced stuff, but managing your MongoDB, how to troubleshoot your Alteryx server. Of course, this session today, you are talking more of the user side and the gallery admin sides. But if you find out that you need to ask IT, then we have this 10th session that will walk you through some of the most current problems that you may face when troubleshooting your Alteryx server. And finally, we'll be talking about the Gallery API in general, as well as showing you one example and how to build that using Alteryx Designer as well. Okay. And this session will be a little bit different than all the others that I have before. So today is going to be a hands-on session. So we're going to demonstrate everything inside the Alteryx Gallery, and it will be very similar to a Q&A, right? So we have a few questions here, the most common questions that we find in the community, as well as in our customers, our clients, right? And the whole idea here, if you have any questions at all related to your Alteryx Designer connection to your gallery or the gallery in general, this could be related to the user side as well as the admin side, feel free to ask us here, and we'll do our best to answer everything that you are interested in knowing more about. Okay? So for starters here, we'll reproduce the idea for this session is that we have Cesar here. He's an end user trying to work in the gallery, while myself, I'm an admin here, right? So I have two different windows here. The first one to your left is the user side, and the one to your right is the admin side. So we're going to show everything that the user need to do, as well as the admin need to do to help the users out. Okay, so let's get started.
Yes, thank you, Fernando. So like Fernando said, I'll be the user, and the scenario is the following. I have me and my team, we've always been using Alteryx Designer. We've been using for a while, and we're experiencing some problems, common problems with the server. So I brought in today a collection of questions to see if I can, if you, Fernando, can help me decide whether I should call IT or not. So the first question is already on my screen. So as you can see, I have access denied to the gallery, and I don't know what is going on, and if you could help me.
Sure.
So,
all right. So this is a great question, actually. And this usually happens in servers where you want to control more the access for your users, right? So we always need to start from the configurations here. So we have, once again, here on the right side is the admin side of the Alteryx Gallery. And let's first start here in the configuration page. So after install for the first time your server, you have the option to give a default role for all the users accessing the gallery for the first time, right? And as you can see here, we have the default role as no access, meaning that the end user accessing the gallery through the URL here. So you can see that he's accessing our server. And when the access for the first time, since we set the default role as no access, then they will see something like Cesar is seeing here. Okay, so of course, we can leave this as it is. So all the users accessing, you have this no access problem, but then I can give the access for Cesar and only Cesar if I want to. So as you can see here, we have many different roles, but let's go to the Cesar profile. Instead of no access, I will give him the viewer role. Of course, we have many different roles here, but for now, let's give him the role to be a viewer. And you can test that out, Cesar.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to try it again. So let me see if I can sign in. So yes, prompt me actually. Okay, sounds good. So I have another question. The second one is related to security. I'm not familiar with the Chrome or the browsing tools in the browse. So I would like to know, what is this not secure message that I have? I always receive, all my team has this. And what should I do? What could I do to make this more secure? Because I would say that getting into the gallery and having Chrome always telling me that it's not secure is not something that I would like to have associated with the Alteryx.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so in this case, actually, that's something that you need to ask your IT or your infrastructure team to include this in your server. So when we are installing and configuring the server for the first time, we have the option to include a certificate. So then to be very simple here, it's the difference between using HTTP and HTTPS. So since we don't have a certificate installed in Alteryx Server, that's why you are seeing this here. And it's basically to make it more difficult for hackers to get into your server, right? So that's the whole idea for the certificates. You have a valid certificate, and for all the users, when accessing the server using HTTPS, then that's when this message will not appear anymore. Of course, for if you are using an internal server here, it's not a problem for you to have this for the end users, such as you, but the suggestion as a best practice, Alteryx always suggests for us to install a certificate while doing the installation, right?
Okay, I'll see you with my IT team then. So another question. So I've been told that I have access to a new collection, which is called pre-sales. I'm gonna get in. And what I've known is, since I have this workflow right here in my collection, so my team has sent it to me, but as you can see, I cannot schedule. And if I run it, also, in this case, I can run it, but I don't know why the schedule button is not enabled. Do you know why
Okay.
is this happen?
So in that case, actually, we have two ways for this to be enabled, right? So the first one there is that, as I mentioned, related to the access for all the users, we have this configuration page. So this is where you can find all of the global settings, right? So this for you as a gallery admin watching here, you need to set this for all the users to be able to run or to schedule workflows, right? So the first option here is related to the gallery settings, and this needs to be enabled. This doesn't mean that all users will have the option, the ability to schedule workflows, but this is the global settings, at least for you to disable and enable when you want to, right? Okay, but if I want to enable the option for Cesar to schedule one, then I need to go to his user. And once again here, so he's a viewer, but I can go here, his own user, and then I have the permissions, right? And from here, I have the option, I need to enable this option. So schedule, as you can see here, we have many different options, but this first option needs to be enabled for him, for you, Caesar, to schedule your workflows. Related to the jobs, we have also the option to prioritize jobs as well as tagging jobs. So when we think about prioritizing jobs, that means that if you are running many workflows simultaneously, and this workflow, for example, is more critical. So if you have a bunch of schedules, a bunch of jobs, then you have the option to prioritize this one and say that this one is critical. So it will run before all the other ones, right? So let's include this as an option for you, as well as tagging jobs. So when we think about tagging jobs, that's more for multi-node environments, where you have more than one worker, right? So more than one machine running your workflows. And then you'll be able to decide which of the machines will be running that workflow. Maybe you have more cores in one, maybe you have more memories in the other one. Then you can decide if this workflow needs to have more processing power or more memory to run. Okay, by saving here, now you can check if you have the option. And one thing to keep in mind here is that every time I give you a new access, it's better for you to always refresh your page other than navigating through the.
Yes, now I can see, I can schedule. So thanks, great. So I think my next questions is related to the designer. So like I said, my team and I, we are both very familiar with the designer, but I think it has something to do with these permissions, but let me go to the designer now. And I have this most simple workflow my team ever created. So it runs very perfectly here. And when I'm trying to publish into the production environment, the gallery, let me show you. I'm having this error. Let me just try to push it. So I'm going to save it. Yes, I think it has something to do with this permission that you have just explained, but I do not see then on my profile the permission to publish or something like that. Could you explain?
Yes. Sure. So let's go back to the gallery, please. All right. So the idea here when you publish your workflows from this designer to server is that you need to be at least a developer to do that, right? So, and that's also one problem. If you could, please navigate to your collection, please.
Okay. Here.
So collection, go to the pre-sales collection, and that's another very common error here when we talk about rows. So click on the second workflow there.
Okay.
And hover in the run button there. So
yes.
So that's another thing that usually happens when you don't have enough permissions, right? So as you can see here, we included the permission for Caesar for you to schedule jobs, prioritize jobs. So you have that schedule button enabled, but you are not able to run this workflow, right? And this workflow inside a collection.
Yes, but wait. In the previous workflow, I was able to run it. So why is this happening? Why, as a viewer, I can run this one, but the other one I cannot?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Okay, so both workflows are inside this collection, right? And for some reason, one you can run, one you can't run. So we need to first start talking about the different types of rows, right? I think we talked about this during the user sides overview of the gallery, but let's talk about this once again. So here you can see that you have 5 different types of rows, right? Of course, you have the default here. We can talk about this later, but the idea is that you have no access and you saw what happened. So you lose access to sign into your gallery, and you have the viewer and the member, both are end users, right? So the viewer has the ability to run public workflows and only public workflows. The public workflows are in your workspace. We can talk about this later, but it's also inside your districts. And one thing that could happen as well is that that same workflow can be a public workflow shared in your district, but we can also include that workflow inside a collection, right? So a collection is a place for you, and I think you know that already, is a place for you to share your workflows privately.
Yes.
Right. And the difference here between an end user being a viewer and a member is that a viewer can only run private workflows. Public workflows. And a member can run both public and private workflows. So what I think is happening there, so if you go back there to your, go back to the collection and to the other workflow.
Okay. Just a second.
Yes. So go to the data prep one. Yes.
It's the one that I can run.
Yes. So there you can see that the workflow is public. Of course, you don't have
Okay.
the option to make the
To
workflow
change
public
it.
since I'm the
Okay.
owner, right? But you can
Okay.
see that that's on the right side. That means that it's workflow is public, right? It's inside your
Okay.
collection, but since it's public and you are a viewer, you have the option to run. All right.
Got it.
So if you are a member here, then if I select the member row, you will be able to run all the workflows inside the collections that you have access, right? And going
Okay.
back to your question related to the designer not having access to your gallery, then you gotta be at least an artisan. So an artisan is a developer or an Alteryx designer license owner, right? So for you to be
Okay.
able to publish workflows to the server, you need to be at least an artisan, and every time you publish, you need to do that from your designer. And of course, lastly, here we have the curator role, and that's the role for you to be able to access this page that I'm showing here. So if you want access here for to manage your server, then you need to be a curator to do. Okay, so let me move
Got
you
it.
to artisan, and you can test that once again.
Okay, so thank you. So let me see. First, I'm going to refresh this one. And also, I'm going to go back to the designer. I'm going to try it again. So I have my workflow. I'll try to publish. And let me save it. Let's see. Okay. Got it. So probably it's going to be here in my workspace. So, okay, that's it. Great. Thank you. So another question is, in previous versions of the Alteryx server, I remember having a home, which was much like this icon, and also I had private studios here. So my question is, what happened with my private studio? Where is it? Is in this new version, 2022.1?
Okay, so yeah, that's a great question. So from this version, I think from 21.4, and we are currently in 22.1, Alteryx removes private studios. That doesn't mean that you don't have your private studios anymore, but it's a little bit different, at least the way you see your workflows, right? So as you can see there, you have three, when you click in my workspace, you have three different tabs there. So my files, shared with me, and public, right? So my files there, so this is a little bit different than it was before. So my files, you have everything that you own, right? So if you are publishing the workflow to the server, it will show up here. Before, when you had access to the private studio, all the workflows that you and any other user inside a private studio would show in the same page, right? So right now, the difference there is that my files, everything that you own, the shared with me page, that's a brand new page, and you can click there. So there you see everything that you own, but as well, everything that you have inside your private studio that other users has access as well. So you can see there you have your share source, you have the pre-sale studio. Since you're a member of the pre-sale studio, and I'm a member as well, so you can see everything that I own, right? So in my view, this would be in my files, and in your view is inside the shared with me tab. And that you can see the enablement team. It's also you can see everything that has been shared with you through collections. So share with me everything that other users publish to the same private studio, as well as all the workflows that is inside collections that you have access to. And the public, so all the workflows that are public will show up here. So the home page that you had before is the public tab here, right? And the private studio page that you had before is in my files or shared with me.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So next question is, so since I'm already a developer, an artisan, I've published my workflow, the one that I was getting error previously, but now I want to go to collection and I want to create my own collection. But how can I do this? How is it here? Is it somewhere else?
Okay. Yeah, that's a common question actually. So the ability for the users to create collection is decided by the gallery admin. So every time you have a brand new user accessing the gallery and you want to include additional permissions, of course, you can see here that you have your role as an artisan, you are a developer, and it's the responsibility for the admin to decide if you should or shouldn't create a collection. So you can go back to your user and you also have that same permission here, right? So
Okay,
we can include the
yes.
create new collection option. And the idea here is that an admin needs to do this for each user manually, but of course we could use groups. We could do this in batch, right? So let's say I want all my users to have the option to create collections, right? So I can go back here in users, I can select all of my users and then change all the permissions for everyone inside it, right? So this is an easier way, not as manual as the other option before, right? All right, and you can
Somehow
check now if
dangerous.
you have, yes.
Okay, thank you. So let me just refresh it. So let me see what changes. So, okay, I can see now the new button and I can create a collection. So great, understood. So next question from my team here is back to my workspace. I have many workflows that I've worked on, and this one bothers me because I have to see like 3 workflows that are the same, but I don't know why they are not, they're triplicated here. I don't
Okay.
know. What should I do?
All right. So is this the same workflow?
Yes, I
Okay.
guarantee.
Okay.
Yes.
So if it is the same workflow when you are using Alteryx, of course, if you are using Alteryx Designer, you need to save that with different names. But when you go to your gallery, you have 2 different options. And actually, let me explain this issue before. So what is happening there is that Alteryx Server and Alteryx, the backend, the MongoDB, manages the workflows with workflow ID, right? So it's not
Okay.
using uh, the names of the workflows as a key. So that's it.
Okay.
Same as using an Excel file. If you do a VLOOKUP, you are using the name as the key field to manage everything that happens that workflow. In Alteryx Server, you have the workflow ID, and that's why you are able to have multiple workflows with the same name. It's usually a problem, right? Sometimes you are actually trying to create a new version of the same workflow. Maybe you heard about the workflow versioning that Alteryx Gallery has, right? And that's what you are trying
Yes.
to do. Okay, so
Okay.
how do you do that? So let's go back to your designer, please.
Okay.
And the idea there is when you have 2 options to publish to your server, right? So have the option when you are first publishing a workflow to the server, you need to go to Save As, select the server, and then you will be publishing that to your server, right? And then for the second time, if you want to create a new version, then you need to hit the save icon, not the save as. So if you hit save as, you are creating a new copy, the same as you created in your gallery, right? But
Okay.
if you hit save, then you are creating a new version of that same workflow, right?
Okay. So
So
you're saying is that I should delete all of them and then just get the official one, and
yeah,
get
so
it from the server.
one
Yes.
thing that
Yes.
you
Go
could
ahead.
do, so let's say that these 3 workflows are important. So have 3 different versions of the same workflow, and
Okay.
you would like to stay or to keep all
Mhm.
of the versions, right? So one thing
Okay.
that you can do here, so go back to any of these workflows. It doesn't really matter. So include the first one. So one thing that you can do there, if you by mistake you created a new workflow instead of a new version, you can go to that right next to the public workflows, those three dots there, and you have the option to replace the workflow.
Yes.
So of course it's better for you to save a new version, but if you want to merge both workflows, then you can do that from here, right?
Yes, I can acknowledge because I'm sure that are the same.
Yes.
So when I do this, and I can merge with the other one too.
Yes.
Okay, so acknowledge because I know they are the same.
And then now you can see the latest version there. You have like the number 3. Yeah, we can go back to the workflow.
Okay, so I have just one now. Great.
And go to the latest version there. You have the 3 there, right in the middle. Latest version. Yeah, you can click there. And then you can see here, you have all of your versions inside the same workflow. You can see that the comments, so package replace it. Of course, you need to keep in mind that you need to replace the workflow in the correct order. For the last one that you replace, that's the one that is the published one, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. Of course, so keep in mind that it's better for you to save other than clicking on the save as. So that's very important.
So say the best practice would be like getting from the designer, getting the workflow from the gallery, and then work, and then just hit save instead of save as. That's it. Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you. So another question is related to the development, and I think this is a complicated one, I would say. So please help me. So now I have this workflow. It is working here. Very good. So it takes just a few seconds, so bear with me. But after it ran, so let me explain how I developed. So in this case, let me see, it's weak. Give me a second, just a moment. Let me just check here some things. Well, so let me explain what is happening here. So first, I am reading from this network folder. So I map it with a letter L. And in this workflow, I'm using only relative paths because I saved this workflow to the folder also. So the workflow is saved here. And I uploaded here and I saved into the gallery. But it is working in the gallery, but it's not as it should, because as you see, every time that I run it here, I have it here on my workspace. And every time that I run, it gives me, it doesn't update the data set from my folder. So let me explain it again. So I want this folder, this data set is where my team updates the table, the file. And this is where I save the report also. So this stage full customer is the report. And since I saved in the gallery, it's not saving here anymore. So it is stopped. So I have to run it on my designer to make this happen. And when I got here in the gallery, I saw the job result that it's not reading from my local network. It's not reading from where I want to. It is reading from these externals, and I don't know how to fix it. Do you know?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So you know already that you can look the logs in a job results. That's great. You're almost there. So the idea there, when you publish your workflow to your server, that you have 2 different options. So let's go back to your designer, please.
Okay.
So here, and try publishing this. So is this workflow already saved in your gallery?
Yes, but this is the desktop one.
Okay, so version. let's save this one in the gallery then.
Okay, I'm going to save it to the gallery. Oh, sorry. Save it to my gallery.
Okay. And then before you hit save, so let's go to the workflow options, please.
Okay.
And you have an option. Let's wait for this. Manage workflow assets.
Okay.
So this is very important. So if you want the files to be read from the folder and saved to that folder, one step here, very important step for you to uncheck this box, right? So let's do this. So have the option, when you uncheck the box, that means that you are reading the file from the folder and saving the file to the folder as well. And if you hit a checkbox, that means that you are sending a copy of the file with the workflow, right? So it's not a live file anymore. And let's click and done.
Okay, but being relative is not going to be a problem here, right?
Oh, that's okay. Let's save this once, and I can show something else here, because this is actually a common error when someone, right? So this is a very common error, and I think many of you watching this webinar saw this error before, are experiencing this error, right? So the idea here, of course, you uncheck the box for the workflow to get, or for Alteryx Server to get the files from the folder and save to a folder. So for you to be able to do that, you need to use a share folder and use something that we call UNC path, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So you can click OK or close. And
I'll close it.
So go to your options tab. Advanced options, and then workflow dependencies. So from here, actually, let's move to absolute so I can show you. So when you go absolutes, you can see here that this is pointing to a place that's in your local computer, right?
Yes,
so
it's kind of messed up.
So for us to be able to, you need to, your Alteryx server needs to have access to this folder. So since this is a local folder, what we need to do is to update this to a share folder. So you can hit edit, right? So go, and go to directory.
So I want this to happen, and I want this.
Yes. So this is a share folder, right?
Yes, but it's mapped to letter L.
Okay, so this is very important. So of course, this actually one thing that it's a very important for everyone to keep in mind here. So have that, it's a share folder mapped to a drive, right? So if you want the server to have access, you need to click there in UNC path.
UNC.
Yeah. So
yes.
Yeah. So that's what this is it's universal naming convention. So all the servers, since the server has access to that IP, then the server will be able to read from that folder. So you can hit OK. And then OK once again. And now you'll be able to save it.
Just save it. I'm going to subscribe that version that I have there.
Yes. So by saving, you got it. So you're saving a new version.
Options. Let me check the asset again. Oh, I see. So
and you can see right now it's all unchecked. Now,
done.
Now the workflow, the server. Go ahead, you can hit done there.
Okay, let's see. Whoa.
All right.
Why?
So, okay, so now one thing, it's very important as well. So this, I think, the most important part of this session. So, okay, you are using the UNC path, and when you saved to your server, you still don't have access, right? So let's hit edit there, please.
Okay.
So when you publish this workflow to your server, the user running this workflow is not you anymore. It's not Caesar anymore. Now it's using the service accounts inside your server, right? So here you have a few solutions, right? So you can ask IT to give access to the service accounts. So that's the service account can have access to this share folder that you are using. But another option is for you to include your credentials. So it's something that we call user impersonation, right? So set workflow credentials, and then you can include your credential or any other credential that you have access there.
Okay, so let me get my credentials here. So what you're telling me is that when I'll put, since I'm running, it's already with these credentials, and the gallery now I'm gonna run it with my credentials also.
Yes.
So I'm pushing my credentials to the gallery, right?
Yes,
With the
yes.
workflow. Okay.
And one thing to keep in mind here is that this option for you to this option for you to have the option to include credentials is also something that the gallery admin needs to enable for all the users to be able to do that.
Yay.
Okay. And now I think we are good to go. All right, that's
Yes.
amazing.
Okay. So it's okay. So let me see in the gallery. I'm gonna refresh it. So let me see. So it's here, updated. I'm gonna run it here. Okay. So let's see.
Yeah, since it's reading from a share folder, sometimes you have the network issue there. It takes a little bit more time than running your designer.
Yes,
But it's
actually, I don't
working.
know. It is.
Yeah, maybe I don't think it's this workflow since it's showing that as the first version.
Oh,
I
let me
think
get
maybe it's a
back.
different one. Yeah.
Yes, let me get back to. Oh, so you see, it ran. Now I have
Yeah.
the same problem that you explained. So I know how to solve it. So it is okay. I'll just merge them right after. So yes, I got it. So
That's amazing.
thank you. So I don't know if you have still time about the same issue, but right now, as you can see, in the previous workflows, I had some issues with the data, but with this solution that you have needs, but now I cannot access the output. So I can see that the data sets is being updated from the gallery, but I do not see the table, and I would like to see the table. So do you have a solution for this? Or I lost at the table, the preview version.
Yeah. Okay. So
let me-
you need actually we don't have to do that on Designer, but the idea there is that if you want to both save to a share folder the file and also show the file to the end user for them to be able to see here and download the
Mhm.
file to see the outputs
Yes.
in the gallery, then you need to include two different output tools in your designer, right? So instead of have only one output there, you need to have two. One with the box checked and another one with the box unchecked. So you are saved with one output, you are saving to a folder, and with the other one, you are publishing the file to the users to see something like this that you are showing, right?
Okay, got it. So the important thing is the input. The input tool is reading from the updated version of the file, and doesn't matter if it's going to external and being updated in the gallery. And I have to both. So just duplicate this to both, and one I send with as an exit, the other I do not. Okay,
Yes,
got it.
yes.
So I think that's it. I'll have just another question. I don't know if you have time.
Yeah,
But
let's
is
shoot it.
this one, this alias issue? So you see, I'm using the data connection from the gallery. So this is an AKA, and I can run it. Yes. So I'm going to publish this into the server. And I don't know if it's going to happen the same error, but let me try. I'm going to save it. So again, this is the data connection that was shared with me. I'm running, and I do have access, but I don't know what is happening here.
Okay. Yeah. So this a common issue when we are using gallery data connect. So can you please go back to the gallery, please?
Okay.
Okay, so here actually, and this is something for an admin to check, right? So have these data connections. So with this, we are able to share data connections with all the designer users for them to be able to use both in designer as well and server, right? So
Okay.
what is happened there is that this connection that you are using, right? So when you need this connection to be shared with you and with
Okay.
the end user running the workflow, right? So you need
Okay.
the access for you to create the workflow in Designer, but when you publish that to the gallery, if the user running the workflow doesn't have their names
Okay.
here, then they will have also the same issue. So here, for example, if I add you to this
Okay.
connection, then if you try running this workflow now, you won't have an issue related to that, unable to translate alias.
Let me check again. So let me just look at it and start to save it again. So even though I do have access to the AKA, I should also have access into the gallery.
Yeah,
Got
and
it.
one thing to keep in mind here is that, once again, if you share this workflow with other users, they also need to have access to that data connection. And they, or you, need to ask your gallery admin to include their users there, right? So that's the whole idea.
Okay. Okay. So another question. So this is worked great. So I have something that I think it is small, but it's something that bothers me. So I have those workflow results, and I would like to clean this up. I like to hide these errors, completed with errors. Uh, I do see that I do have here some way to delete it, but is this the only way?
For you to do that as an end user, that's the only way. Of course, we have two additional options here. So it's one option while we are installing the server, we're able to limit the number of days, actually, the dates for these results to be there, and it's automatically removed. We have that configuration. Another option is for us to access the MongoDB, so the backends or the Alteryx server, and to remove from there. Of course, the MongoDB, that's some for advanced users, maybe for IT, maybe for your gallery admin, and that's something that we be talking about in the MongoDB session here.
Okay, but so there's a way to keep this only a day and then like clean this all up, or
Yes.
7 days. Okay, okay, that's it. So nice. So I have another question, but it's related to sharing. So I have created a scheduled workflow. I don't know if it's here. Let me just check it. So I have it here. And how do I allow other colleagues from my team to see that it's there? So they can see that it's there and do not duplicate it, because I'm afraid that every day at 9 a.m. I schedule the workflow and I have a colleague that do not see that it is scheduled and scheduled at the same time. So I'm worried that it's going to be duplicated. So what could I do?
Okay, yeah,
Is that right?
that's a great question. So for this schedules page is personal. It's something that only you have access to. So this only for the schedules that you own, right? So,
Okay.
or the schedules that has been shared with you, of course. So if you want to share the schedule so other users can also see, you need to share everything through collections. So go back to collections, please,
Okay.
and you see that option there. And I can also use this question to answer other two questions that we have here in our webinar, right? So there, let's just read the questions before. So
Okay.
one of the questions, and it's both very similar. So the first one is related to, oh, I'm going on vacation next week. How can I make someone else responsible for everything I have while I'm away? So that's a good question. And another one that's very common, we have a lot in the community, is related to users leaving the company, right? So you have a
Yes.
designer user with many workflows there, and they are leaving the company. How can you manage or transfer that to other user to start managing it, right? So
Mhm.
of course, the first option here, so you can click in the pre-sales page,
Okay.
and there you have the option to share everything. So everything that you have in your workspace or in your schedules, you are able to share with end users, right? So remember, we gave you access to create a collection, so you could create this collection, for example, for only one user. So if you are going on PTO, for example, you can create a specific collection and include the other user for them to manage everything that you have, right? So you can add your workflows, you can add your schedules, so other users will manage everything, right? And that answers, of course, if you are going on vacation, you can add everything there, so other users will be able to see it there, okay? And right, when a user is leaving the company is a little bit trickier, right? So you have this option, right? So if a user is leaving the company, maybe he'll lose his access to everything. The user will be deleted from everywhere, but the assets here, meaning workflows, schedules, they will all remain inside your server. So it will not be removed automatically. So the option there, you can move everything to a collection. So that user will still own everything, but you can share everything to a collection. So that's the first option, right? So maybe that's not a great option because the user is still the owner of everything. So another thing that you could do, you could include yourself in the private studio, the same private studio as that user, right? Once again, you won't be the owner, but you will be able to see everything inside that private studio. So that's the second option. For the second option, private studios, we are not sure when the private studio will be definitely removed. So I don't think it's a great option, but it's there for you to try it out. And the last one, and that's only for Alteryx support to do, right? You can update the MongoDB. So you can change the owner by changing a few things inside your MongoDB. It's not easy. It's something that Alteryx support doesn't advise us to do, but if you don't have any other option, that's something that we could do, okay? And I think if you have any more questions, feel free to ask here in our webinar. And of course, I don't think we have more time to answer all the questions, but we'll answer each of the questions for you personally, right? But that's it, guys. I think, let me go back to the PPT here. So only for us to finish here, we have more sessions. We have sessions related to installation, architecture, and advanced sessions for you to learn how to manage MongoDB. So if you want to do that by yourself, to change the workflow owner, you learn how to do that in this managing MongoDB session, as well as learn how to troubleshoot your server installation or any other problem that you have there. And lastly, once again, Gallery APIs. You learn how to use it. You learn how to build a workflow with that Gallery API. So that's, you can't miss. It's a very good session, right? To finalize here, we are able to support you. So everything that you are talking here, we gather all the knowledge that data meaning have related to server. So, and we can go from assessment and planning. So if you don't know if the server is the right deal for your company, we can help you with that. If you want us to help you during the installation, or even if you have a server installed and you want us to help you do the upgrade or migration of your all the content to another server, we are here to help you. And of course, related to the server troubleshooting session, we also have here a product called Health Check. So if you want to understand why your server is not performing as it should, we can also support you during that process. And so we have trainings related to server, trainings related to designer, and we are also able to manage the server for your company. So I have many different options here, but of course, if you check all of our webinars, I'm sure you'll be able to do everything here by yourself. But that's it, guys. I thank you for attending the webinar today. Thank you, Cesar, for all the questions. It was amazing to have you here. And
Thank you, everybody.
that's it, guys. So once again, if you want to learn more about Alteryx in general or any other tool, follow us, follow Data Mini on LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All the webinars will be posted there as well. So that's it. Thank you for attending and have a nice one.